This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details. And
it's time for another edition of Mase in Your Face. Now, along with college football immortality, Glen Mason, here's Dan Barrero.
Here we go. Mase. God, I don't even remember what he looks like. Do you, Guardsy? It's been so long.
Well, I looked at his Wikipedia page. He looks like Jerry Kill.
Has anybody corrected that yet? Is it still up there?
Come on.
Well, we're just trying to bring it to people's attention so it can be corrected, because I don't think you look anything like Jerry Kill. Nothing against Jerry Kill. Mase is back in Fargo, and that's where he joins us. If you have questions for him, Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line 64686. That's 64686. Mase, a question out of nowhere, apropos of nothing. In the course of your long and distinguished football career, first as a player, then as an assistant coach, then as a coordinator, then as a head coach, did you ever have any time at all getting to know Herschel Walker?
No, I really didn't. I know when I was an assistant coach at Ohio State, we tried to recruit, not me. Mm-hmm. I wasn't the assistant doing it. We tried to recruit Herschel Walker. Earl Bruce was the head coach at that time, and I remember him coming back and saying, Herschel Walker, what a great player. He said, but I went to the school, then I went to his home, and he said, Coach, why don't you ride with me? And he said, I got in his Trans Am, and he was driving about 90 miles an hour. You know?
Oh,
and
man.
He said, it was a heck of an experience. He said, but we're not going to get him. He's going to Georgia.
Yeah, University of Georgia. I was there for that freshman year. I covered him for Vince Dooley. Well, not covered Vince Dooley for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Great guy to deal with, by the way. Dooley, you think I always have bad relationships with coaches? I had a wonderful working relationship with the late, great Vince Dooley at Georgia. Now, then again, they were undefeated that season, so that might have had something to do with it.
Well, being that he's late and he's great, I can't verify if that's true or not. So you can say everything that you want.
Oh, man, I figured you'd say that. I bring Herschel's name up because I'm wondering if, now that you have so much free time on your hands, I should say, whether you're in Fargo or whatever you might be, would you ever consider taking a U.S. ambassadorship overseas? Because Herschel apparently is going to be our first ambassador to the Bahamas in quite some time. That was announced either last night or earlier today. Could you see yourself being a U.S. ambassador?
Well, I just could imagine where they'd send me to be an ambassador. I'm not, the Bahamas, I'd probably say yes.
Yes.
Those other places, I'd say, I'm not too sure. That's pretty good job there.
Yeah, that's got to be a plum assignment for him. I think that's a Donald J. Trump reward for something. I'm not sure. Coach Mase,
one of many. You ever see these? I mean, it's kind of a payback. You support somebody either financially or publicly, and that's the payback. You get a pretty good duty. You might not be qualified for it, but and that's just not with Donald Trump. That's a long list of what's gone on forever.
No question.
I guess.
It's part of the deal. By the way, will you please ask Mase if he has ever had a quarterback controversy like the Vikings are dealing with currently, or was Cupido always the guy? Good callback to the Brian Cupido days.
Yeah, well, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Remember, I said, do we have a quarterback controversy now because of all the publicity around J.J. McCarthy, how great he is and all this kind of stuff? And then he gets injured again and he goes to the sideline and then you have a guy come in and they win a few games or he plays decent. Do you have a controversy? And I guess maybe you have a controversy anyway with Sam Darnold going to Seattle. Mm-hmm. And the jury's still out on McCarthy. We haven't seen him yet.
No,
come on.
Not enough. Yeah, not enough.
Not enough to say, well, he's the guy.
Well, do you have an overriding philosophy when it comes to this sort of situation in which, we just had Kevin Seifert in studio. Seifert's view on Wentz is he's played reasonably well under tough circumstances, given he joined the team last week before the season began, but he doesn't think he's played so well that it's slam dunk. It's Carson Wentz the rest of the season. So what did you have kind of a coaching philosophy on how you make these are tough decisions to make, man. They're and sometimes, they're crucial decisions. They can be coach killing decisions sometimes.
Well, I used to talk about it all the time. I kind of have a philosophy, if you have two quarterbacks and you can't make up your mind which one's better, neither one of them's good enough. So you might as well just make one a one and the other guy a two and move forward with it. Now, that may or may not be true because some of these talent-rich programs, especially in college, they might have a couple of guys that are good enough, fortunately or unfortunately, depending how you look at it. My situation in college is every place I've been when I was a head coach, it was, pretty clear cut. And not that we didn't have guys at that talent, but we didn't have, where we had two guys that you'd say, geez, I can't make up my mind. It was pretty clear cut for us.
Hendo in Minneapolis reminds us, Mase, you're already the U.S. ambassador to North Dakota. You've kind of proven that point the last month.
Well, that's good, I guess. I wouldn't mind being the ambassador to North Dakota. As long as I can live in Fargo, I'd be real happy.
Is there a lot of hatred? I mean, I'm going to you now because you're the expert. Is there a lot of hatred between North Dakota and South Dakota?
I'm not really sure. The question I asked just today, I said, is it a big rivalry between North Dakota State and the University of North Dakota? And they said, you bet.
Yeah.
And, I guess one's real good in football and one's real good in hockey. So it's a dividing line. But there is a competition there. I'm not sure about, states. I'm not really North Dakota and South Dakota. I'm not privileged as yet, but I will ask around.
715 guy writes, I saw a TikTok where PJ said Greg Esslinger is the greatest Gopher of all time. Is that true? Guardsy, do you know if that's true? Or is he just trying to get Mase going?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. How about that? PJ's standing tall for your guy, if it's true.
Well, if it's true that he said that, PJ, put his name up on the stadium. Come on. What are we waiting for? I'm tired of talking about that stuff.
Yeah. Did you get to watch any or all of the Gophers debacle in Columbus against the Buckeyes?
I wouldn't call it a debacle, but yes.
Okay.
I watched the game, and I've got some
thoughts,
evaluations. All
right,
okay,
fire away.
First of all, let me just talk about the quarterback, Drake Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
I am really, really impressed with that guy. I mean, not just the first drive, but as I was sitting there watching that game, and if you remember when I was coaching, I used to challenge my coaches all the time, get back to a playground mentality as far as evaluation of players. So you're down there and you're choosing up sides, okay?
Yes.
And you get the first pick. And I'm just telling you, if I had the first pick, would I take Drake Lindsay or would I take the Ohio State quarterback? I'm taking Drake Lindsay.
Really?
I'm telling you, I was
That's so controversial.
Impressed. And no, it's not. It's not at all. Only if you want to make it controversial. What I'm saying is, what I was thinking, if I looked at Drake Lindsay and could have put him in a scarlet and gray uniform with all the weapons that they have, how good do you think he'd be? I mean, it'd be spectacular. Those wide receivers at Ohio State, they should be playing in the NFL.
They will be
already. And I'm not saying that that the Gopher offensive line didn't do a good job of protecting him, but there's no running attack. And when you become one-dimensional, which they are right now, and I think not just that week, but week in and week out, the Gophers they're really struggling running the ball. And if you play a defense like Ohio State and you're one-dimensional, man, you have got problems, okay? I think the offensive line for the Gophers did a pretty good job pass protecting for him, but man, in their run game, they got manhandled. You go back and watch that film. If you watch it closely, there are a number of times that defensive line for Ohio State playing on the Gopher side of the line of scrimmage. Really, they got manhandled in the running game. Now, defensively, and that's a handful trying to defend that offense. But how you think you could play man coverage against those wide receivers? That poor one cornerback, number 14, I think that's his number. Come on now. Yeah. I mean, that guy's not only going to be in the NFL, he's going to be a star in the NFL. I couldn't believe how big that wide receiver is. He's 230 pounds. Yes. Can you believe that the way he runs? But you're looking at a team, let's say a good Ohio State team playing again. I mean, a good Minnesota team playing against an Ohio State team that might just be a great Ohio State team. They have talent every which way, and they're talking about the number of players that Ohio State lost off of last year's defense, with all 4 guys off the defensive line now in the NFL. If that's true, how many teams can do that? I mean, you're comparing apples and oranges.
Well, it sounds like you're not willing to give the Buckeyes much credit. I mean, you're making it sound like, what else can they be but great with all the talent they have?
Number one in the country. All right. I mean, when you look at it, I don't know. Again, the quarterback for Ohio State played pretty darn good. I think he was 24 of 28, 341 yards. I mean, that's pretty darn impressive. But I'm saying that Drake Lindsay, I'd like to have seen him.
Yeah, no, I like him.
And how he would have performed.
There's no doubt. I mean, I would say, in fairness, the Ohio State offense has been all over the map this year, though they haven't been dominant they scored 14-70 against Grambling, okay, 37 against Ohio, 24 against Washington there, and 42 against the Gophers. To me, the defense is the story. I mean, they haven't even given up double digits yet, man. 7-0, 9-6, and that opening field goal drive against Minnesota. That's it for the entire season. That is all they've given up defensively.
Yeah, they haven't given up a touchdown in the red zone. Pretty darn good. Now, in saying that, do you think that Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator at Penn State, is scratching his head saying, maybe I shouldn't have left the Buckeyes or even in it? Because he didn't get fired. I mean, he got out of good graces after it looked like he was talking to Penn State, and Ryan Day said, yeah, you're talking to them, then you're out of here. But defense is the story right now. That and the wide receivers, their running attack at Ohio State's not very impressive, but those wide receivers are impressive.
Let me ask you another philosophical coach's question, okay? The Gophers face, let me see if I go, they face looks like 4th and 10. Yeah, 4th and 10 from the Ohio State, is it 23-yard line? At which point, down 35-3 in the fourth quarter, they try a field goal from 4th and 10 at the Ohio State 23. Madness or sensible? Would you have tried a field goal in that same situation?
What would you have done? I'm just kind of curious.
I'm going for it.
Yeah.
I mean, what do the points mean? I mean, I get it.
You get to the place where you start saying, what's 3 points going to do for you?
Yeah.
Make something happen. I've seen it all over the park. Sometimes as a coach, I know I've been there. Even in a worse situation, you say, well, it's 4th and 7 off the 20 your own 25-yard line. Why should you punt? You might as well throw and go for it. What's the difference if you get beat?
Yes.
What's the difference if you get beat 42-3 or 48-3 or 58-3? Just keep going. Maybe you'll get lucky. I don't. At that point, I guess the way that you're going, you think, okay, I can go for it, but what's the percentage that I'm going to have a chance doing
against this defense? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you got to use a little sanity, and then if you if you go for it and don't get it, now Ohio State just gets that more ecstatic. If you kick the field goal and you make it, you feel like, okay, and everybody's running off the sideline and you're high-fiving your own guys.
Are James Franklin's days numbered in State College, and should they be?
I think the only reason they're not, I think his buyout's $56 million,
That'll do it.
I think if it wasn't $56 million, if it was only $6 million, it'd be gone. But this goes back to the thing I'm going to talk about before, and it sounds like I'm begrudging what coaches are making now, but whoever's making these decisions, these ADs or whatever, with these buyouts, they've lost their mind. Are you kidding me? I mean, I thought we saw the worst when Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M, I think he had like a $78 million buyout, and I thought, well, the repercussions from that, you've seen the end of that, but it's not. It's crazy. It just keeps going, and I can just tell you this, that these guys would do it for a heck of a lot less. I can tell you that. I really believe, if you're made of the right things, and I've said before, there's only two kinds of coaches. There's guys that loves coaching, and there's guys that love being the coach. And what they're getting paid now, there's a lot of guys just love being the coach. I can tell you that.
What?
But $56 million.
I didn't realize that. That's stunning. What was the biggest buyout you ever had in any one of your contracts? Do you remember?
Yeah, from University of Minnesota. And I don't know who made the decision, but they signed me to a new 5-year contract and then fired me after 1 year. And then they had to pay me.
Who would have done that?
Because I don't know. It's easy to do things when you're paying people and it's not your money.
Yeah, that's true.
It's university money. It's taxpayer money. I don't know what kind of money it is, but whatever it is. But I can tell you, I didn't get any $56 million. I didn't get any 46. I didn't get any 36. I didn't get any 26. I didn't get any 16. I didn't get 6. Now I'm not begrudging what I got paid.
Yeah,
but it was insanity that they signed me to a contract and I didn't do anything wrong. We went to a bowl game, lost it overtime, and they fired me. So, but like I said, they had a tight end coach available at the Broncos, so go get them. What the heck? You fucking get the right guy.
Face.
Do you ever say to yourself, man, I was born too soon? Like if you'd been born like 25 years later, think of the money you'd have.
Yeah, well, and if I had ever been born earlier, I wouldn't have got what I got.
Yeah, that's true.
The thing about now, guys that are in coaching, college coaching, assistant coaches. I mean, I didn't make any money as an assistant coach. I really didn't. I mean, you were poor. And then when I first got in to be a head coach, I mean, I took a pay cut to leave Ohio State to go to Kent State. And I really didn't make any, a big money. I mean, I made good money when I first came to Minnesota. Then it really became good. But a couple years after that, man, it went through the roof.
By the way, Guardsy or Mase, do we know what the Bill Belichick buyout is? I mean, it's bad, Mase. It's really bad right now. Is it salvageable? Because I've heard some people say, look, he inherited a mess. He's got 100 new players, and whatever's going to happen, it wasn't realistically going to happen in a year. Hell, you came here and inherited a huge disaster. I mean, you were literally starting over. So I don't know. I mean, what do we make of what's going on with Belichick?
It ain't good, I can tell you that. And the thing about it is, it's messy. There's a reason why they fired Mac Brown. Okay, they weren't getting what they wanted. Buy new hope, and they bought a lot of hope in Bill Belichick. But hiring Bill Belichick, you would have thought they would at least been the same or maybe a little bit better. No one expected them to win the conference and get to the college football playoff the first year. But it looks like a disaster. And what they ought to say is, who made this decision? Who came up with this idea? Was it the AD? Was it the president? Was it some alum? I mean, I always think that you got to go to that as who's making those decisions, no one hires himself. No one fires himself. So someone's got to make in those decisions, and their feet should be held to the fire.
I got, let's take a bottom of the hour pause. I got some good Belichick dirt, too. Well, not dirt so much as intel, a little more detail on what's going on there right now. We got a preview. Well, we'll give a moment or two to Gophers Purdue, but we have to preview the Hoosiers. This is kind of their tail game, right, in Oregon against the Ducks. So we'll get to that and whatever else is stuck in Mace's craw when we continue. In your face, back with us, Dateline Fargo. I'm looking, Mase, at a New York Post piece under the headline, UNC exploring potential Bill Belichick exit strategy as weird rumors surface. The school has reportedly had preliminary conversations about firing the legendary football coach as 5 games into the new era. His buyout is $20 million for the record. The story goes on to say that Belichick himself may be looking for an out. College football journalist Ali Conley reported that Belichick has discussed buyout options with North Carolina's hierarchy, and he has signaled a willingness to trigger his own $1 million buyout if he can find a soft landing with another team or in media. The reporter adds that Belichick has reportedly been, quote, weird and distant with his staff, and some coaches were unable to get a hold of him during the team's bye week. I don't know what to, it obviously has just not gone anywhere near as well as anybody could have hoped. They were beaten by Clemson 38-10 on Saturday. That was at Chapel Hill. And, Gargi and I were talking about this, I think, yesterday, or somebody brought it up that, Drake May went to UNC. He has a really nice signature game. They knock off the Buffalo Bills on national TV. And apparently several folks have, pretty much confirmed that, the Belichick warning was we're not going to send out anything about what Drake May did, even though he went to school here because he plays for New England. And Belichick has said before how he feels about acknowledging that organization at all. It was with Louis. We were talking about with Louis. Louis was in studio yesterday. And Louis said, you'd like to think as you get older, you become a little less bitter or you become a little bit more philosophical and you let go of some things. But it feels like Belichick in some ways is kind of his own worst enemy here. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if that's, true or not. I know that he didn't let the New England Patriots on their campus.
Yes.
Because he said he wasn't felt welcome on their campus. And then Vrabel came out, the head coach, Patriot. That's not true. He's welcome here anytime. I would have to think that I have a hard time believing that. I think that Bill Belichick has bigger fish to fry than worrying about what Drake May has done. I mean, he's getting his head handed to him right now. As far as those other rumors, it's hard for, I think, a lot of people to think, well, would Belichick want to bow out after one season or even right now? And you think no, but, let's not forget when Lou Holtz left NC State and went to the Jets. And all of a sudden he realized, this is not what I thought it was going to be. Maybe I bit off more than I can chew. And he left, and he went to Arkansas. So I think everybody was surprised when he did that, to walk away from the New York Jets job in the NFL after – I'm not even sure it was 1 year. I know it was not more than 1 year. So who knows what's going on? I mean, he's just like Lou Holtz didn't have a background in pro football.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick has a big background in football, but not college football.
No.
Not at all. And he might think, this is a lot different than I thought it would be.
All right. Indiana off to a terrific start again this year. Very soft non-conference schedule, but they, in the Big Ten, have been good to very good. They destroyed Illinois. They found the proverbial way to win on the road against Iowa on an afternoon where they didn't play great, but they did, indeed get the victory. They get the week off, and now they prepare for what's Oregon ranked? Is it 5 or 6? I can't remember. They're ranked pretty high.
Let's put it that
and
way.
they're good, and it's there. So, I mean, if you were, let me put it this way: if you were in Cignetti's shoes, do you have to, if you're being fair, do you have to look at this as this is one of those games, man? Whether it's fair to us or not, we're still not totally taken seriously at the top level. Because when we played really good teams last year, Ohio State, regular season, Notre Dame in the postseason, we didn't fare very well. We were not particularly competitive. And sooner or later, that's what we got to do. We got to go to a place like Oregon, and we have to win the damn game. Is that fair? Do you think that's what even Cignetti has to think right now if he wants to really be genuine?
Oh, I think so. I think that Coach Cignetti's done a good job of putting a chip on the shoulders of. I think he had a chip on his shoulders anyway for him.
Yes,
but for his players and his program to say no one really respects Indiana, and we've even talked about that. Was last year as great as it was for them? Was it a one-off? And he's kind of backed it up so far. This year he's done a good job, and a lot of people, maybe me included, we're waiting for that. Other shoe to fall and say, you know what? He's made them good, but they're not that good. They shouldn't be in the conversation of being the college football playoff two years in a row. If he goes out there and plays and beats them, then we're all saying, hey, you know what? They're really legit. Let's get off. Let's get on the bandwagon. If he goes out there and makes the game close and still loses, we'll still say they're a lot better. But if he goes out there and
gets hammered.
He gets beat by 25 or 30 points. Then we say, well, they're not the old Indiana, but they're sure not the new Indiana.
Yeah, that's fair. I think the latest ratings I see, Oregon's 3 and Indiana's 7. I don't remember the last time. I don't even know if Indiana's ever been ranked as high as number 7 in the country. So, and that's a 2:30. I think that's a 2:30 game. And that I think you nailed it. I think that's fair. I mean, you don't believe in moral victories, but there's a difference between, as you say, losing by 27, really never being in the game, and let's say losing by 3 or even 6 for a game that goes down to the wire that gets into the in the fourth quarter. And believe me, I think, look, for a lot of schools, I think they should root for what Indiana represents, right? Because it's a place that's been awful in football, as you know, with rare exception. And I think programs like that are all looking for hope, right? The idea that it's not always the blue bloods that are ranked that high or ranked in the top 10 with a chance to be something, to have a significant season.
Yeah, I think you're right on one count. And one thing you're not looking at is there's a lot of programs out there that say if Indiana gets the college football playoff again, there's a lot of programs that are going to tell their coach, hey, if Indiana can do it, why can't we?
Exactly.
Why aren't we there? We used to be ahead of Indiana. Know what's going on. Now, to me, in this game, I really think the challenge is for Indiana's defense against Oregon's offense, because what I've seen against Indiana's offense, that quarterback, what's his name, Mendoza?
Correct.
He's good.
Yeah,
he's really good. It looks like they can, as long as they can protect him, they can move the ball on just about anybody. Now, can their defense hold up against Oregon's offense? And they're playing in a really, really tough place. At Awesome Stadium is as loud as it gets. They're wild out there. They love their Ducks. It'll be a big challenge for Indiana.
I'm looking at, let me call it up here real quick. We've spent a lot of time in this show talking about the Vikings schedule. The feeling was the first 5 games was relatively favorable, and that you almost need to go 4-1 or 5-0 to sort of give yourself a little breathing room now that you get, after the bye, this middle section that's a lot of really good teams. Now, again, the Ravens have struggled, although right now they don't have their quarterback. Presumably by then they would have their quarterback. Contrary to that, for the Gophers, it's like, well, this is, now that you're past Ohio State, this is the stretch where you kind of got to get fat. And it starts with hosting Purdue for homecoming on Saturday. Then you've got Nebraska here. you're at Iowa, and you've got Michigan State here before you have to go to Salem. Guardsy has to go to Salem on the 14th of November to face Oregon. So, to me, that's the challenge here, right? Is these are all winnable games.
What are you talking about, Salem? You mean Eugene?
Eugene. I don't know why I keep saying Salem. Yeah, Eugene, Oregon. Yeah, for some reason I got Salem on the brain. I don't know why.
The team will get to the right spot, Mace. Yeah. Don't worry. We let it go.
I hope so.
I thought maybe that's what the salad bar was for Guardsy. I wasn't really sure.
Well, maybe it is. It's possible.
Salad bar.
Yeah, salad bar? Are you sure you mean the salad bar?
The Salem salad bar. You never heard of that?
Oh, no.
Oh, it's big time.
Big time. Okay, fair enough. But to my point, there's an opportunity here, right? If you play to the level that you think you are, you got a chance to fatten up the record a little bit.
Well, I think it goes back to the big picture that when you're a place like Minnesota, maybe any program, make sure you win the games that you're capable of winning, especially playing at home.
Yes.
And then keep your fingers crossed that you'll beat somebody that you really shouldn't be able to beat. It's an upset for whatever reason, you play really well, they play average, or they have turnovers, or whatever. And if you beat the teams that you're supposed to beat and then beat one team that you're not supposed to beat, man, you have a great year.
Yeah, that's all true. Let's get one more.
And like you're talking about, the Gopher should beat Purdue, right?
Yes, absolutely.
They're a big. If they play well, don't turn the ball over, they'll win that game. Nebraska, everybody keeps holding their breath for Nebraska to beat Nebraska. I don't think it's this year again. I can tell you that. And then, it seems like Iowa is, they're even down there at Kinnick Stadium, they're very vulnerable. And then Michigan State, I see where there's rumors. Some of their fans want Coach Smith already bought out of his contract. It's insanity.
Yeah, it probably is. By the way, was there bad blood between you and Joe Tiller back in the day? Was Joe Tiller the guy you coached against at Purdue?
Not at all.
You got along? Okay.
I really liked Joe Tiller. Joe Tiller was a great football coach.
He was, you're right.
He really was. And he went in there and, to think that, he kind of, I'm not saying they fired him, but he kind of bowed out. They forgot how good they had with Joe Tiller. I know that conversations I had with him, he was not really fond of Morgan Burke, his athletic director.
Oh, interesting.
He used to tell me all the time, Morgan Burke was a Purdue graduate. He was a letter winner, not in football. He was a swimmer, I think. And
that explains it.
Some of the things that, Joe thought that they should be able to do, they butted heads on based on my conversations with them. But no, I had great respect, for Joe Tiller. Great coach.
And wasn't he the head coach who presided over the greatest swindle of your entire coaching career? The game at the Metrodome where they moved the ball like 90 yards in 6 seconds for the field goal?
Yeah, he had nothing to do with it. But, it's, we took over and they, I forget how many seconds they had, but the first down they had legal procedure and they got penalized. And it was like, 7 seconds on the clock. And this would be the last play of the game. And dropped back and they threw the ball to midfield and they caught it, but the game should have been over. We tackled them. You check it out. The officials, except for the referee, they all turned and ran for the locker room. There was 1 second left on the clock. And I'm not going to mention the referee, but he told me privately, he said, we couldn't believe it. Only at Minnesota, playing at home, would there be 1 second on the clock. So
did you? And my recollection is, we've talked about this before, that that was the last game for that timekeeper.
I'm not sure that's true. Oh. It would have been if I was in control, but I had no power. Yeah. I mean, that shouldn't happen.
No, I was there for it. It was stunning.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it is, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
I went back and I used a stopwatch. There actually should have been 2 seconds left. So the person did make a mistake, but not the way that you thought. They got it off so easily to midfield. There should have been 2 full seconds. Why are you doing this?
All it's going to do is extend the segment.
Yeah, you're right. We got a break.
No problem.
Oh, man, Mase handling that with unusual aplomb. All right, let's break. We'll get to whatever else is on your mind in our final segment for today's show. Kessler is in studio, or will be at about 5:30. Your Face back with us for a final segment, at least for this week. Question from Todd via the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line. Who did Mase have the baddest blood with when he was coaching?
Oh, boy. Well, before I answer that, though, you brought up Joe Tiller.
Yeah.
I was sitting at the break. Let me tell you a little story.
Okay.
My first year working for the Big Ten Network, I had a game at Purdue. So I had a meeting scheduled with Joe Tiller in his office on a Friday. And I got there, and his secretary says, well, Coach Tiller's running a little late. Can I get you a cup of coffee? And I said, sure. He comes walking in about 5 minutes later in a T-shirt and shorts with grass all over his feet. I go, Joe, where you been? He says, I've been cutting my lawn. And I couldn't believe it, but that's what he was doing. He's cutting his own lawn. Probably the guy that I had I got along with, I would say most guys, but probably when I was at Kent State with Jerry Faust. We went head and head on some film exchange issues, and it became really out in the public, in the media and stuff. And, we had some words over it.
No kidding.
Yeah, well, Jerry Faust got fired at Notre Dame and got the Akron job, and he came in, and I think he thought he was still the head coach at Notre Dame, and and I wasn't going to take it.
I love it. So he was not giving you film. You guys sort of do film exchanges as a courtesy, and he was not going along with it. It was one of those deals.
Well, as I remember, I think this is accurate. No, it wasn't. He wasn't giving me film. I wasn't giving him film because we had played one more game than he did.
Okay.
So he wanted all 4 games, and I was only to get 3, and he called me unethical. And
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. That's juicy.
Publicly, he called me unethical. So
did you respond to him?
What do you think?
I have a hunch you might have.
Hey, I didn't get the nickname Mase in Your Face for nothing.
Oh, that's too good. I don't remember that one. How long did he last there? I don't even remember. Was it? I mean,
well, I don't know. I was only there 2 years. He was there 2 years, but he stayed there, and he had great success at Moeller High School.
Yes,
he really
legendary.
Not so much at Notre Dame. And he really wasn't. He really wasn't. A bad. I'm not saying that he was a good person, but it was kind of he was a one-way guy, Jerry Faust way, and whatever he thought should go, and that isn't always the case.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I don't remember you talking about that before. Tiller always struck me. There's coaches. You mentioned it earlier. There's coaches who want to coach, and there's coaches who just want to be the coach. And Tiller struck me as one of those guys. He didn't care. He didn't have a lot of airs about him, right? I mean, he didn't play the role. He didn't perform that he coached. Not a lot of pomposity there, I didn't think.
No, I would agree with you 100%. If you didn't know he was the head coach, you wouldn't know he was the head coach.
Yeah.
He was and the thing about it was he wasn't known as a recruiter. Really, he used to talk about how much he hated recruiting.
Yeah.
And he didn't beat a lot of people on named players, but the guys that he got were awful good. You look at Drew Brees, who's I think from Austin, Texas. They didn't recruit him down there, and he got him there, and he was good as they could be. And he was the guy that really, I'm talking about Joe Tiller. He changed the Big Ten.
That's true.
He had a passing offense second to none out at Wyoming. And I remember at his press conference, someone asked him, they said, do you really think your pass offense can survive in the Big Ten? And he said, what do you mean? He said, did you ever see the weather that we get in late October, November in the Big Ten? He says, you ever been to Wyoming? And that was the case. I mean, if you could perform in those conditions out there, it didn't matter what the conditions were. He knew what he was doing. He was a good coach.
I forgot about Brees, like you say. So that tells me he must not have been very highly regarded, right? Coming out of high school.
Well, I don't know that. We weren't involved in recruiting. He got him down there. And I think Drew Brees' grandfather played for Texas. big mistake for the Longhorns if they didn't recruit him. But I would have to venture to say there was probably a lot of schools in Texas that bypassed him. And just like a lot of people said, well, he was good in college, but he ain't going to be able to do it in pro football. He's too short. Well, he did it in pro football too.
Certainly did. Texters, a couple final texts and anything else that's on your mind. This is from Athletic Fat Guy. He links to a story under this headline via yahoo.com. NCAA moves towards allowing schools to sell corporate logo space on team uniforms. Your thoughts?
Well, I think we're going to be like NASCAR before too long. You know, it's crazy. I thought he was going to bring up, if I read it right, that now the NCAA is going to let college athletes legally bet on pro sports. Where are we going with this? I mean, there's no end. Is crazy, but the thing about it is, college athletics is really, really greedy. You look at the TV contracts and the naming rights on sports, and now they're all selling booze, and they're not only naming the stadiums, they're naming the field, they're naming this, they're naming that, and all this kind of stuff. And at the same time, you think if they're doing all this, they could lower the ticket prices for the people coming to the games. No, they raise those ticket prices and seat license and all this stuff. It's crazy. And everybody wonders why the athletes all of a sudden said, well, hey, we're not getting ours. Now we need NIL, and you're not going to, tie us into one program. And the next thing that's going to happen, maybe it's already happened, you're going to see a high-profile athlete for one of these schools, and they get to the college football playoff, and before the championship game, they're going to go behind closed door of their agent and say, hey, you want them to play tomorrow? We need more money. That's what's going to happen.
Athletic Fat Guy also reminds us of another guy at Purdue that I haven't thought about in a long time, Mike Alstott. It's a nice I turned out to be a good pro too, but he was a hell of a college player, as you saw.
Well, I didn't have to face him, thank goodness. He was gone by the time I got there, but a tough player and really
good player.
Tough player. And it's amazing the number of good quarterbacks that Purdue has had over the ages. It's uncanny. Going
all the way back to who were some of the early guys? Bob Greasy was the first, the one that comes to mind. Yeah, back from the old days. But Mike Phipps was good and very good college QB.
Where did Len Dawson go to school?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Did he go there? I'm not sure.
Len Dawson, I don't remember. Guardsy, double check Len Dawson for us.
I will. It might have to be.
She's great.
How about Everett? Didn't Everett go there?
Yeah, he did. I think that's right. Yeah. They did have quite a tradition at the quarterback position. You're right.
As is custom for a Mase in Your Face appearance, I've done a little digging in the last minute or two. I have the Daily Kent Stater digital archive open to September 12th, 1986, previewing the Golden Flashes meeting up with the Akron Zips. The natural rivalry that exists between the teams due to the closeness of the universities intensified this week. A lot of it had to do with the coaches involved. Glen Mason and Jerry Faust, both new to the schools. A dispute between the coaches concerning Mason's decision not to exchange game films attracted more media attention to the game than ever before.
Boom.
Regardless of what went on this week, neither team saw the other on film. Here's your guy, Stu Sims, Mase. All that doesn't even matter. We're just going out there and playing. Everybody's blowing everything out of proportion.
There it is. The media. Yes. That's what we do. Media jackals.
Well, let me just tell you something. But my recount of that story proves once again.
Fact and fiction?
I'm fact. Everybody else is fiction.
Yeah.
We'll take it up with Herb Hall, the Stater staff writer.
Don't blame us. We didn't do it.
By the way, did Mark Craig go to Kent State? Because he has a story here.
I told the truth.
Yeah. Well, did you? Or are you just remembering it wrong?
No, what did I say? I said we had an argument over the film.
Yeah,
and that was my fault. Not my fault, but we're going to
your decision. Film.
Yeah.
Len Dawson went to Purdue. Brian Cardinal is still playing for Purdue. It's amazing somebody's running man. Well, but here's the question: the story seems to indicate you didn't give any film. Your version of the story was you wouldn't give the extra game.
I don't remember the exact.
We're going to get to the bottom of that next week.
I've got the Daily Kent State's got a lot of stuff on this.
Oh, this is good. We'll save this for sure. Anything else? We're late. Anything else we got to get to before we wrap up here? We're already a little behind.
I got to just say this one, and I've talked about it before, but I used to coach at Kent State.
Yes,
and it's a great play. But year in and year out, it seems like they're one of the worst programs in the country. I mean, they just can't get turned around. And I've talked about before. Well, this last week, they had to play the University of Oklahoma. Kent State played the University of Oklahoma. They got beat 44-0. That was the final third non-conference game they played this year. They also had to play Texas Tech and Florida State.
Ooh.
And what I'm saying is, whoever that AD, why would he think the program is going to get turned around? For Kent State, and they don't even have the same number of scholarships as those other schools. But you know what? They should make that AD put a helmet on and go out there and play. And I guarantee if he had a son, was on the team, he wouldn't schedule a team. But that solves all his problems.
Money.
Financial problems.
Yeah. Well, that's a better non-conference schedule than Indiana and Minnesota put together. I mean, that's impressive right there.
It's crazy.
Last item. Will you allow me, as we wrap up, to pay you a compliment?
Please. Yes.
I miss you on the Big Ten Network. I really do. You brought it up, the story related to
we all do
going to Purdue. You were great on that network. It's still, it is what it is. I understand they probably don't want to spend the kind of money that they did before, but you were good on it, and the Big Ten Network is poorer for not continuing to use you.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Guardsy, anything else before we go?
I'm just looking. You want to talk about how college sports has changed. May 1987, KSU head football coach Glen Mason said compensating athletes $600 would be a good idea because of the time they put into their sport. Football is fun, but it's fun on Saturday. It's hard work in between. They were trying.
You were ahead of your time.
They were trying to figure out how to give people a little extra than the scholarship of $2,195 for fall semester at Kent State.
There you go. Hey, let me just say this. I like to give credit where credit's due.
Okay.
And I don't know if everybody's noticed, the University of Cincinnati's having a good year. They must have a good football team. They beat Iowa State, who was undefeated, I believe, last week. And then I wonder if the people down in Florida, now I know that Florida beat Texas, but everybody's getting ready to fire the coach down there. The guy that he replaced, Dan Mullins, is doing a heck of a job at UNLV. He's got them rolling. So I like to give a little credit. There's some good jobs being done out there.
That's very fair. Will we see you next week, or will you likely still be in Fargo? It's too early to tell.
I'm not sure yet.
Not sure. Play it by ear.
I got a very busy schedule.
We know that. That's for sure. Well,
I miss you guys.
Yeah, we miss you guys. We miss you too. So one way or another, we'll chat next week. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Mase in your face, kind enough to join us. Brought to you by our good friends at Jack's Cafe. Always appreciate their loyalty to the program and to this segment as well. Top 5 might be a mini version. Kessler about 5:30. What do you got?
Another non-blockbuster hockey star contract extension to chew on, and the Wild are going to start the season injured again.